Hello everyone, welcome to my review and demonstration for my Beko Aquatech bPRO500. Model number is B5W51041AW. This is a wee bit of a different one as it's also, I guess, a sale review incorporated into a review and demonstration, so it is. I've had this washing machine, I bought it I think it was like July 2023 I got this. So it was, so I've had it, it's March 2024 now. So it is about to come into April. So I guess you can do maths. It's been just under a year that I've had this. So I've used the washing machine 240 times. So I have, and it has no error codes at the moment. So yeah, I may as well do a talk about my overall experience with it. Few disclaimers to make. So this washing machine is still on the market at the moment, and I bought it brand new. This one is very soon going to be discontinued and replaced with a very similar one that's the model number for the new one is B5W51041AW. The differences between that and it, from what I can tell, is that the new one will have Bekos Energyspin technology, which they've just released, which will do spin washes and stuff. And it also has a few different cycles. The remote control on it will also be Wi-Fi rather than Bluetooth, and it will have a new option called water mode where you can pick between an extra rinse or you can have a water saving option on it. It'll also be a bPRO700 labeled as that rather than bPRO500. But anyway, this is about the bPRO500 which I've got here. Another thing, this model is made in if you look at that, September 2022 this was made. So it's possible that the current ones on the market may have a tiny bit of a difference to this one, but I don't think they really do. I think it's pretty much the same as what this was. And final disclaimer is whenever you get this washing machine, it has a different door on it. They come with a tinted door. But after a month, I took the tinted heat shield off. I still have the old door here, so I do, and it has like this plastic bit that the heat shield holds in. So that was falling out while it was on because there was nothing in. But the door glass was all fine. The door itself was all fine, but it just looked a bit I guess a bit ugly after I took it off. So I ended up buying a whole new door for it. But anyway. Let's get into our review and demonstration. Before we get into the talks of the washing machine and the review and stuff, I thought I'd do a thing where I'd explain some of the technical terms that I'm going to use throughout the video, because I know that some people may not understand what exactly they mean. So yeah, I thought I'd just do that, for the general users who are thinking about buying this washing machine, and I may be saying stuff and I may be talking gobbledygook pretty much. So first technical term that I'll use throughout the video is balancing sensitivity. Balance sensitivity refers to how likely a washing machine is to spin in an unbalanced load. Some are really sensitive on their spins and other ones don't care at all. Sensitive washing machine will take quite a long time before it goes into spin, whereas one that doesn't care will go into spin pretty much quite fast. But sometimes if it's really doesn't care at all, it can lead to the washing machine banging about and walking across the floor on spin. Another thing I want to refer to is dry washing and dry rinsing. Those are basically whenever the washing machine doesn't have enough water in it, so that to the point where there's no water left in the drum at all for the clothes to soak in. And it can also result, if it's in really extreme cases, that some of the washing is dry while it's doing its cycle.
You see, there's no
it's not good whenever a washing machine does that at all. So it's not, and then there's some like the basic stuff such as like suds locking, which is where there's a big build-up of foam and the machine basically spins with suds or water, because sometimes it can be caused by it not draining out in time, and then other times it can be caused by simply just too much suds in the machine whenever it goes into spin. Anyway, so to start off with the review, actually I'll talk about the basics first. This is a 10 kilo washing machine, 1400 spin with an A energy rating on the Eco 4060 cycle. Depth and stuff, I have my wee tape measure for you. I actually measured this just before starting the video, so I do roughly know how much depth this machine is. But I'll go stick you on the tripod first because I need 2 hands for it, don't I? Sorry about this. Quick. I wouldn't normally show the depth or stuff like that whenever I do my review videos, because I normally have the washing machine in the kitchen. But I have this one in my shed, so I do, and I have access to the top and all of it. So I thought, hey, I may as well. There is, of course, some differences from what the manufacturers state, because the manufacturers, whenever they have to do their depths and stuff like that, they have to refer to it with from the back to the very front, including the door, and also pipe work around the machine. Anyway, so I've got my wee tape measure here, and if we put it right to the back, I might not be really able to show you, but I can see that from the back to the front lip of the machine here, it measures 53 centimeters. And then if we go right back and include the door, though it's open now, it measured 58 centimeters, 56 to the dial, if you just want to the dial. So yeah, maximum would be about 58, and then of course the door does open quite a bit, but I know I'm not going to get an accurate reading of that with the fact I have my phone on the tripod. So I will bring you back down, I can set my tripod out of the way for now. Excuse the state of my shed, I do fix and repair washing machines, so I do. And it's also in the spring, it's just coming into spring from the winter, so my shed is quite muddy. I need to get these floors cleaned. Please excuse them, sorry about that. Before we go on to that, actually, I think it's best that I talk about why exactly I got this washing machine. I have had Beko Aquatech washing machines in the past under different brands. I had a Blumberg one and a Grundig one. The Grundig one was pretty much the same as this, except it had their fiber catcher technology, where the synthetics, sports and shirt cycles would filter the water through this wee filter that was at the back of the drawer, and it basically helped to remove microplastics. The Grundig fiber catcher models are pretty much the same washing machine as this, except for the fact that this one doesn't have the filter at the back of the drawer. That one lasted me 4 days, and I ended up having to get it refunded because of the fact it had a suspension issue where it sounded like a jackhammer on spin, and then it had a few other things like software, although I wasn't too familiar with them at the time, and I think the software was all okay on it, even though I thought that there was something wrong with it, but I will talk about that later on in the video. I also had a Blumberg washing machine, which was a bit similar to this, only it had its differences. It had a completely different design to the same one that Beko used to use before these were released, and it lasted me 9 months. I think you see where this is going, don't you? I had 3 engineers out to that washing machine, and in the end I had enough and I ditched it pretty much. Then after that, I think it must have been nearly a year since that was gone, I decided I wanted to give Beko one last chance, and I opted for this washing machine. I bought this purely for my shed to use. I wanted to treat myself to a new machine, so I decided on to try this out, try an Aquatech out for one last time. And I done about 80 washes in it in the shed, and it really impressed me. It shocked me quite a lot, to the point where I ended up replacing that Miele washing machine there with this, and I brought this inside over the winter period. The original plan for this review video was that I was going to do a cheap versus expensive video where I compared this £480 washing machine to this £1,500 washing machine, but I felt that it would be a wee bit unfair in a sense, and I just felt that the effort was maybe a wee bit too much for me. I'm sorry about that. To be completely honest, I think even though I'm going to be talking about this machine, we'll come to that in the end. I'll be comparing this washing machine to some of my other washing machines that I've had from different brands and stuff like that, from some old models, some new models, and we'll be doing stuff like that. So, I may as well get onto the drawer now. I really like this drawer. Beko have improved the drawer of their Aquatech washing machines a lot. So this is our main wash compartment here, and then we've got our pre-wash compartment, which goes for the pre-wash option, and then you've got your fabric softener in the middle. Beko's, the previous range of Aquatechs before these came out, had a very, very tiny drawer, to the point where you could just about fit your detergent in it. I suppose it was quite flimsy too, it was quite rattly. In a sense, it was just a really tiny drawer. So I really like how Beko have went back to bigger drawers. It's so nice that they changed it. Softener compartment's all really good, so it is. They changed the design quite a lot from what Beko's design used to be. They have updated the design a lot. So they have at the back of the main wash compartment you get a wee detergent measuring flap. See, if in the down position, that is for liquid detergent, and it shows where about 50ml and 100ml are respectively. And if you flip it up, then that's up for your washing powder. This is something I don't think many washing machines have, but it has a wee turbine to break down big clumps of washing powder. To be honest, the reality of this turbine is that it doesn't work. It's a bit too stiff in there. I think what Beko were doing with it was that the water's meant to spray onto it, and then it's meant to spin round while it's filling up, or else whenever the washing powder is really clumpy and it gets clogged. You know, if it's like that, it doesn't get clogged often. So it doesn't get clogged at all, actually, so it doesn't. But I think whenever the washing powder in the drawer, if it's really clumpy and it gets clogged, it can cause the compartment to backlog of water. I was thinking that maybe they were thinking that with that backlog of water, it could go over this and then that could start spinning and break it down. But the reality is, like I said, this is too stiff, so it is. So while it's filling up, it doesn't actually really spin at all. And I think that Beko have realised that that it doesn't work well, so they've started to remove this on new ones. So they have. You have also a wee button here. This, as I found out with my Grundig, this wee plastic bit here, if you press on that really hard, it's very liable to break and snap. So you just have to press it really gently, and then you can take out your drawer. There's the drawer house in there. This wee blue cylinder thing that they've got in the drawer is to mix the washing powder or your washing stuff in before it actually enters the machine. It mixes it in with basically with the flow of the water, so it does, which is quite interesting. Beko had that on their old Aquatechs too, so it's nice to see that they've still kept that. So yeah, drawer just closes like so. We will talk about the PCB and all the cycles on it last. So if we come down to the drum, Beko have massively changed their drum design. So they have the drum on this model. Whenever you see this in person, you don't actually think it's a 10 kilo. It looks like 8. To some sense, but it is actually the same size drum that they used to use in the past. It's just that what Beko have done is to make the washing machine really slim. They've made the drum a lot wider than what it used to be. It used to be a lot deeper back in the day, but I think this is the way that brands are starting to go with all their washing machines, is making them with really wide drums, so that it really fills up all the space in the machine. The downside of a wide drum is I think this one actually has a decent amount of room to move, but whenever the drum is wider, it can mean that obviously there's less room to move, and it can cause it to bang more. But to be completely honest with you, I don't think this one's like never banged on me at all. Whenever it's done its spins, maybe one time it nearly banged, but it's never like properly banged at all. I think a good comparison with the drum size thing that I was talking about is with this Beko washing machine here. My Beko washing machine. This is a 9 kilo Beko washing machine, but they both use this exact same size drum, and you can see that the drum in this one is a lot deeper than the Aquatech, the Beko one, but it's not as wide. So it does give you a good idea of what I mean by them going but for wider drums. You can also tell by the difference in depth from both machines that I think they're around about the same, distance from each other, and there is still, the Beko sticks out significantly more compared to the Beko washing machine, so it does. So that gives you another idea there. So if I turn that back on, Beko have also changed their drum design on this too. It used to have quite a lot of this pattern here and a lot more holes, but they've changed it that there isn't as many holes at all. So there's very little holes, and you can see that with the fact there is little holes in it, some water still gets stuck in the drum at the end. I actually haven't had this on today, so I haven't, but you can see the water, it doesn't drain out as effectively. So it doesn't, as you can see there, it's, running along. So it is, and it's just like that. And like I said, that is down to the fact that it's got so little holes in it. But whenever it's washing, it doesn't really cause an issue with it draining. I thought that it would have, but it seems to me that it actually helps it drain better with the fact it has little holes. Such a little amount, which interested me a lot. There is a con about it, about the spinning on it, which I will get on to later on. Beko also changed their door seal design too. They've completely changed it on these new ones. Beko used to have an issue with their old door seal where quite a big pool of water would get stuck at the end of the wash because the holes for the door seal were elevated more than the lowest part. So there would have been a wee pool of water in the older ones, but with this one, the holes are, as you can see, they're level with the bottom of the seal, so no water gets left behind. You also have a drum light. It's not the brightest drum light in a washing machine, but it's a drum light nonetheless, and it's still, you can still see in very clearly. It's a very nice feature to have. This door seal though, even though it's got that improvement of the water drains out of it and you don't have to pull your clothes out into a puddle of water, there is quite a big con with it, and it was actually the reason why I took the washing machine back out of the house and have now sold it on. With this door seal, the gap of it's quite big, in fact really big, so it is, and there isn't much of a lip on the inside of it there. And because of the fact that the gap is so big, drawstrings get sucked in often on this particular one. I've spoken to a few friends of mine who have new Beko washing machines with the same design door seal, and so far out of, I think, maybe about 6, I want to say about 6 people maybe, only one other person has had the same issue as me where it's sucking drawstrings in. Whenever the drawstrings get sucked in, these trousers are really good example of it, as these were one of the victims of it getting sucked in. And it basically, what happens is it makes a ridiculous noise and it chews them up. So I think you can see there's one that's being really badly chewed up. It's ruined quite a few good clothing, so it has, because of that issue, which is really annoying. So it's not fun. So that wasn't at all. And it also caused this on, well, I don't think it was that issue. A bra on spin managed to get jammed in the door like on the glass, and it ended up scratching it quite a lot on spin. It absolutely ruined that bra, so it ripped it whenever that happened, which wasn't fun at all. Things like that can happen on any washing machine. Like the drawstring thing happened on my Hoover Wash 700 whenever it was only a week old, and I was quite honestly really shocked whenever I'd done it, because the door seal design on it was completely different, and the whole of in here was actually covered up with the door seal, and I didn't think it would have been possible with it, but it managed to do it too, and I was shocked. So I think it's probably something that any washing machine can do, with the getting drawstrings jammed in the tub pretty much, but it's still not fun whenever that happens. Aquatech technology now, she'd go on to it, shouldn't it, seeing as the paddles here. So inside this paddle, you might be able to see it, that wee white there. This paddle is attached to a bracket, so it is, and located inside that bracket is 2 magnets. Whenever the washing machine's washing your clothes and such, there's a period in the cycles where it will basically recirculate the water through this paddle and onto the top of the load. It's basically a jet system, so it is, and it enters through the top of the drum. So whenever it's washing, it positions this paddle and it locates it to the top of the drum, and it will stop, and the water will recirculate through that onto the load. The sensors can, of course, go on them. You know, like anything can break. But even if the sensor does go, the washing machine will still work absolutely okay. It will still clean your clothes fine, but it just won't be able to locate this paddle. So it will be turning the jet system on no matter where the paddle is, and it won't really go over the clothes, so it won't. But that's not the case with this one. The sensor obviously still works. My cousin's one, he has the old version of the Beko Aquatech washer, so he does, and the sensor on his went like just after a year of use, I think. And he's only in a 2-person household, so it really just depends on how long you get out of it. The sensor may last a good amount of time, it may not. I think it's partially to do with the fact that it's located on the top of the drum. I think it's possible that it can't take the vibrations too well, but Beko were still making these, so yeah, but it's just a thing to be noted of. But yeah, even if that went wrong, to be honest, you probably wouldn't even notice that it was bust. But it still washes the clothes all okay, so it does, if that was to happen. I think I actually forgot to mention, Aquatech technology is supposed to make the cycles 50% shorter with 50% extra care, but I suppose we'll get on to that now. So while I'm talking about the cycles, so we've got our big dial here and our display over here. So whenever you just turn the dial and it turns the washing machine on. So we've got our cottons wash, and you can see that the cotton cycle time is significantly shorter than normal. With normal Beko washing machines, sorry, without the Aquatech technology, the full-length cottons wash for a half load typically takes just over 2 hours, whereas this one's 1 hour 21. What Aquatech is meant to do is, the cycles on it are 50% shorter, which is the case for this one. For a half load, I'm going to specify that. I'm going to heavily specify for a half load. And it gives them extra care because in the advert they say that it doesn't tumble as fast. That's not the case at all. It does this exact same wash actions as the other ones. It's just that I think the rinses aren't as long at all compared to the other ones. I think that's where the time's mainly cut, although the main wash is a wee bit shorter too. But yeah, so you've got your cycle time there, and the cycles times for all the cycles are for a half load. If you put in a full load of washing, the washing machine will extend the wash. This is because of fuzzy logic and load sensing. And it's something that quite a lot of washing machines are doing now, where they show the half load time at the start and then they take a wee bit extra. This washing machine does load sensing on only 4 of the 16 cycles. So it does. So it's not like some other washing machines that will do their load sensing on practically every wash. Beko or do make quite linear washing machines that don't really adjust to the load. But they have really started to adjust a lot lately compared to normal. And to be honest, in cases it does work well. They adjust the cycle length and the water usage, so they do, and stuff like that. So it does its load adjusting on, like I said, on 4 of the 16 cycles it has. It does it on Cotton's Eco 4060, we'll get onto that later on. Dark Care and Stain Expert. So Cotton's Dark Care and Stain Expert will do the load sensing based on how much water it has to put in and how absorbent the load is, whereas Eco 4060 will do it based on dry weight. It will do like this wee short spin at the start and then decide on that. So what this means is if it detects a full load, the cycle is increased. And on the likes of Cotton's and Dark Care, it's heavily increased. And it's something I've seen mentioned in reviews quite a bit. But whenever it does that, so that's a 1 hour 21 wash for half load. With a full load, if you were to leave it on that and the washing machine detected a full load, it would extend the wash to well over 3.5 hours, nearly 4. And it can take people by shock whenever it happens. I seen on a review that I read, I think it was like on AO or something like that, for I think it was this washing machine or a similar one. And they were quite shocked that it increased from 1 hour 20 to over 3 hours. And they read online and they said about it being for load balancing, but that's not the case at all. Okay. But yeah, that's not the case at all, so it's not. It's all load sensing. I'd be a bit worried if the washing machine was taking 2 hours longer for it to balance the load. Thankfully with the fast button, you can shorten the amount that it increases. So with fast on, if I was to do Cottons with fast and I had a full load in, it only adds on about 20 minutes. And I can't remember how long it is with fast times 2 on. I will explain that more shortly. You've got your temperature button, and you can go right down to the cold and right up to 90. The cycle times, yeah, for half load there on that wash is really good. So it is, you can drop down the spin too. You have rinse hold and you have no spin at all. If you press and hold the spin button for 3 seconds, it comes up with this wee symbol here, and what it'll do is whenever the cycle is finished, it will tumble for up to 8 hours once it's done. So it's handy if you're not going to take your clothes out on time, though it doesn't remember if you have that set. The more basic ones do, I think, the ones that don't have the touch buttons. The WTLs and WTKs, the models that start with them 3 digits. But I think it's a good thing because I've seen people on reviews who actually think their washing machine's broken because of it. I'm sure that plenty of people have ended up buying new washing machines because of it, because whenever it goes on to that, for safety reasons, it has to keep the door locked. And you have to press any button once it's done to unlock a door. But quite a lot of people don't realise that and think that because the door stays locked and they can't get into their clothes, that the washing machine's broken. So yeah, it's a bit of a funny one. You have pre-wash option. Pre-wash on this, it doesn't heat the water at all, unfortunately. It's more so a pre-rinse rather than a pre-wash. With that, obviously, you use washing powder typically, so you do, and you put your washing powder into the right compartment and also into the left. and it does a really short wash to get off excess dirt before the main wash. And this also increases the water level on main wash too whenever it gets onto that. It increases it quite significantly if it detects a full load. One of the cons with my Bloomberg washing machine was that it increased the water if pre-wash or steam was on all the time, and it increased it to a point where the water level quite literally got about halfway up the glass. So with really small loads it used way too much water. Thankfully Beko have realised that that was an issue and they've fixed it. So it doesn't use as much for a half load, but does increase the water level quite a bit if it's full, which is nice. It's still a wee bit too much for that load though. Steam option 2, which will add a steam phase, quote unquote, steam phase at the start of the wash for all cycles except for shirts, which we'll do it at the end. Steam has been fixed on this one. With Bekos of the past, their steam cure technology was absolutely awful. It was really bad. It used to stick in too much water for it, and it actually done a pre-wash at the start to get everything wet before going on to the steam phase. And it was basically like a heated pre-wash pretty much. It heated the water up to a maximum of 50 degrees. And it just heated up the clothes pretty much. It used too much water for it. It was referred pretty much like from the like of my friends, etc. as it was basically boiling the clothes rather than steaming because it had too much water in it. Thankfully Beko fixed that with this new drum design, and it uses enough water just for it to cover over the heating element but to not go on the clothes. So, but it doesn't heat hot enough for the steam, I find. It still only heats to about 40 or 50 degrees. So while it does make the clothes, it warms them up, so it does, but they don't get like a proper steam from it. I have noticed that the steam phase on my Miele, whenever you select its steam option called pre-ironing, that there's a lot more steam in that than there would be in this one. And it's just down to the fact that the Miele heats up the water a lot hotter whenever it has its steam option on. If I take that off, it also has an extra rinse option. And for the likes of cottons and dark care, it adds on a really short rinse. It's only like 2 minutes long, but it does a really fast spin before the final rinse, really fast, right up to full speed, which is quite impressive for an interim spin, which is basically, I actually forgot to explain that in my definitions thing that I done at the start of the video. That's basically a spin that it does after the main washer between the rinses. So it does a really fast one right up to full speed with that. Fast plus basically drops the time off, and if you press it again it drops more off. If you press fast plus on cottons, it basically takes off time from the final spin mainly, and it does a really short final spin. And it does this really short final spin on a few of the shorter cycles. The older Beko Aquatechs used to do it on all for half load. This one has been changed a bit, so it has where it will do a long final spin without fast on, but will do the short one with fast no matter the load size. Whereas with the older ones, they done the really short final spin all the time with a half load on the likes of cottons, for example. But if it had fast on ×1 and it detected a full load, it would do a long final spin. Whereas this one, they've changed it that if it detects a full load with fast on, it will do the shorter final spin too. The shorter final spin is basically a 2-minute final spin where it will hold at maximum speed for about 30 seconds. To put this into perspective, if with the full length final spin, it's about 14 minutes, and it holds at full speed for what did I say? It lasts 14 minutes, so it does, but it spins full speed for about 2 to 3 minutes, well 2.5 minutes, which is really good for a final spin. But because of the drum design, with the fact that it has so little holes in it, the short final spin gives really, really bad results. The clothes come out very wet from it. And you always have to respin if you have it on fast. Pretty much they come out really wet. So they do, because it just doesn't have enough time to spin all the water out. And you'll notice whenever I do the wash in the demonstration, because I'll be using this cycle for the demonstration, that it will still have moisture left on the drum from it. So it will, but because it just doesn't have enough time to get all the water out of it, just because of the drum design. It is something that quite a lot of people had said about with the older drum design and in the past, and it was never actually something that I noticed until I had this one, how much of a difference the spin results were between the short final spin and the long one. But yeah, it was it's not too fun, so it's a shame. And it's even worse because it spends like a minute doing a 400 RPM spin before going on to the main spin to get out excess water, and it just feels like a waste of, like, it's a lot of time wasted that could have been put towards the main spin, which is really a big shame to me. We've also got our ending in, which delays the wash. I don't really know how that's gonna work on cottons. You'll probably, like, if you were to delay it for like a short amount of time and it ended up detecting like a full load, it would be on for longer, I reckon. So although I think that's the case with pretty much all washing machines, to be honest now. Ending in isn't something that I'd ever use, so it isn't. I think it goes up to 24 hours. Never on a washing machine anyway. Remote control is to do with this HomeWiz thing. Truthfully, don't use it. I don't recommend using it. It's a bit rubbish. I used it with my last two washing machines, and the amount of shenanigans it created was a bit ridiculous. It was really bad with its shenanigans. So it was, I had my last, my Bloomberg washing machine flood the kitchen with suds a bit. Well, it wasn't too bad, but it flooded out suds out the drawer, and it ended up freezing up. So I don't really trust the app much. It's on Bluetooth too rather than Wi-Fi, though like I said, with the updated one they're going to have Wi-Fi instead. I think the Wi-Fi ones do work better with HomeWiz, but with the Bluetooth one, the washing machine turns the Bluetooth off after a few minutes, and I'll have it on now just to show you. I'll turn the Bluetooth on just to show you it turn it off itself. Whereas before, well, not with the Bloomberg, but like with the likes of my cousin's Aquatech, it kept the Bluetooth on, so it did. And you could connect it to your phone at any time. Whereas with this you can't, pretty much. It doesn't give notifications about it being done either because of the fact that it's on Bluetooth too. And I think it's sometimes a bit of a nightmare to connect, but I didn't really have much issues. And the Bluetooth gets to a point where it won't work with the washing machine at all. And to get it to work, you have to turn it on, off, and then you have to turn it back on again to connect to your phone. It's really stupid, and yeah, it's just something I wouldn't personally use. I wouldn't recommend using. Eco 4060. Let's move on. No, I'll go back to it. Eco 4060. Oh my goodness, this cycle's shocking. Really shocking. That A energy rating for that wash, it's not worth it, if you can even call it a wash. This cycle, I'm going to actually just stick it on for you now. This cycle is truly just shocking. It's really, really bad. The pump is quite loud on this washing machine, so it is too. Hopefully you'll hear me okay. So, like I said, this cycle, rather than doing moisture detection, it will do go by the weight of that it detects by its motor torque. So it will. So once it's finished draining here, it will go on to a part where it will go into a wee short spin, and it will decide the load on that. So it will. But the problem with the load detection on this cycle is that it doesn't detect the load right. In fact, it practically never detects the load right. I've used this cycle 3 times. Twice I used it with a completely full load on the 40 and 60 options, and then once I used it with a smaller load. The smaller load ended up jumping up from 2.5 hours to well over 4. It jumped up to 4 hours 40, which I reckon is going to be the case with this empty drum. I originally thought it was the thing with 6. If you put it on 60, it would do a longer wash, but I don't think that's the case. I think 40 and 60 do the same cycle. Eco 4060 as a whole, even on like other washing machines, tend to confuse people quite a lot, because people feel like, how is a 40 or 60 degree wash more energy efficient than say like a 30 or 20 or cold wash? The reality is that with Eco 4060, it gives the same results as a 40 or 60 wash. A 40 or 60 wash, but it will not heat at all pretty much, and it will, you'll see here, there you go, 4 hours 40 minutes for that cycle. It's a bit ridiculous, and then you just turn the dial to cancel it. So it's decided there on a 4 hour 40 minute wash pretty much. With that wash, it uses like no water at all on the main wash, and it's the amount of water it has to take in is all set by the machine. So if there's too little water in it, it won't add any extra. And with the fact that it detects the load size wrong pretty much all the time, unless there's only a few things in it, it causes some shenanigans pretty much. Both of the times I used it with a full load, I ended up having to cancel the wash and starting it again so that it could detect the load properly. And yeah, it's just a really bad cycle. If you do a small load and it jumps up to that over 4.5 hours, that's 1 hour of that cycle it spends sitting there doing absolutely nothing. It sits there and wastes an hour. You know, I done that wash, like I said, with the wee small load on that, and I genuinely thought the washing machine was broken. Because I've never ever seen a washing machine just sit there for no reason for an hour. You know, it's just such a waste of time. So it is that cycle for a mini load. And to be honest, I think it's potentially against the law. There's a restriction with the EU law on how long the cycle is meant to last. I can't remember the equation for it, but I think for like 9 kilo or more machine, the maximum length's like 3 hours 40 or something like that. It's nowhere near, like, it's a lot less than over 4.5 hours. It's not meant to take that long. Yeah, but 40 and 60 does the same wash. It's the exact same, doesn't make a difference what you set. Yeah, it's just a really bad cycle. The rinsing's awful on it too. Really bad. Once you get the wash to work right, and you've started it and then stopped it and then started it again, the main wash on it's good. It's done like a 30 degree wash with a full load, which is it's okay. It's not stone cold with a full load, although with a really small load it'll do completely cold with no heating at all. And yeah, but the rinsing, it doesn't spin enough on it. It does one in-term spin after the main wash, and then it'll do this rinse, which it won't have enough water for it. The first rinse, it will never have enough water for it, and then it will drain out, and then it'll go into its final rinse, and then its final spin, which will result in it will probably end up spinning with suds, to be honest. I had this wash, and the second time I used it on the 60 to see if it would take even longer than 4 hours 40 minutes. It done 2 attempts on the final spin, and it ended with the suds halfway up the door, and I was quite shocked that it didn't give it more of a go to spin, as it normally gives it 3 goes before giving up, whereas that time it only gave 2 and then just decided, I'm gonna quit. Both of them times, with the cancelling and all, for that cycle alone, it took 4 hours to finish. And then by the time I done the rinses and all, it took about 5 or 6 hours. It was a bit ridiculous. You can't set anything on that wash either, so you can't shorten it down or do anything like that. It's all preset. Synthetics on this is really good. Really good cycle. It's really good for smaller loads. It's quite flexible. It doesn't do load sensing, so it will pretty much stick to that time as best as it can. The times on this is as short as possible, so that it displays. It's not really like an estimate, it's just as short as possible. So it's typical that the washing machine typically adds about 10 minutes to every wash. It really just depends. We have low water pressure too, which does make a difference to cycle times. But like I'm going back on myself a bit, aren't I? I'm a bit rambling on here. I done a bulky load on cotton 60. I'll set it up actually. I done it on cotton 60 with Prewash and Extra rinse, and it ended up taking this, what originally was a 2 hour 14 wash, and it made it into a 5 hour cycle. I was quite shocked at that, and I have a video of it on my channel. Yeah. So yeah, synthetics is, like I said, it's a decent enough wash, so it is. I used it quite a bit, so I did. But yeah, decent enough. Quick, jeepers, where do I start with this? Quick is a wash that I don't really use at all, to be honest. I've noticed with these new ones, the heating on Quick has become really bad. 40 degrees. I find that with Bekos, the temperature on Quick all relates to the time of year, pretty much. If it's summertime, it heats properly. If it's winter, it doesn't have enough time to heat, and it can heat really bad in winter time, to the point where a 40 degree wash for half load could end up being pretty much cold. I done it with a half load. One of the days it ended up only heating to 24. I was very shocked at that. It was practically cold. I was going to do 40, but I wasn't expecting it to be that low. But it's a very flexible cycle, so it is. You can go full spin, but the spin, like I said, is short, so it you do end up having the extra spin, pretty much. You can have steam and stuff too, and you can have you can shorten the wash down to a 14-minute wash if you want to. So if I do that, 14 minutes, or it can be 18 minutes if you whack the spin right up. It only does 1 rinse on that wash, but it does allow extra rinse on it too, so you can have two rinses if you want. And it still allows, all the temperatures too. It's really flexible cycle, but it's just a bit of a shame with the execution of it. Hand wash disappointed me. You see where I'm going here with this? Hand wash disappointed me a lot, as it was one of the best hand wash cycles on the market, in my opinion. They used to use Aquatech quite a lot on it. Well, enough. They used it enough. I wish that the older ones used it a bit more, but they've pretty much taken away all of the Aquatech usage from it. So it doesn't really recirculate the water on that cycle at all, which is a real shame to me, because it doesn't really, it's a hand wash cycle, so it practically just sits there and doesn't do much. It just soaks, pretty much. And it would have been really handy to have that jet on, recirculating the water, for most of the time. They used to do it where I done it for a few minutes on the wash, and then I done it for all the rinses too. But they've changed it on this one so that it doesn't use it on the rinses at all. And it only uses it at the start of the main wash for a wee bit, and that's it. This is also the wool wash renamed too, so this is like a rolling cycle, and then I guess you can take the temperature down, and it's like a hand wash. But yeah, hand wash rollins, same thing. I think the only thing you can have on it's extra rinse. You can't shorten it down or anything like that, so you can't have pre-wash or stuff. If we come down here, we've got Dark Care now. Dark Care is Cotton's renamed. It's an exact copy and paste of Cotton's. It's a bit lazy, so it is, with extra rinse on. It's the exact same wash, but it obviously is quite limited to the point where it won't go above 40 and it won't go above 1200 RPM. If you use fast on that, you can best believe you're definitely respinning. The spin results with fast are really bad, but without fast they're okay. Well, yeah, good. They're good because it does the long final spin, so it does. But yeah, downloaded program now is to do with the app. If I, oops, it might not actually work at all because oh no, it's not gonna. Maybe that's just down to the fact that I don't have the washing machine connected to my phone. That it won't work with the remote control, but normally with this cycle, you turn it to downloaded program with your Bluetooth on, and you press the remote control button and you can control it on your phone. This is the only cycle where you can control the machine on your phone. So it is, if you get what I mean. So you always have to turn it to here and then press that button, which I think some people may find a bit confusing because I've seen quite a lot of people saying that it doesn't work with it. But anyway, if you don't use it on your phone, there is actually a cycle already pre-downloaded to the machine, and this cycle is your mixed fabrics wash. It used to be exact copy and paste of synthetics before with a stupidly low spin. It still has the stupidly low spin, but they've changed it so that it's basically synthetics with an extra option on the app called extra water. The app does contain some extra water, like not extra water, some extra options that aren't on the display, such as custom cycle duration, where you can pick your own duration for the wash. The reality is the extra options that the app has, thank you Adam, it only works on cottons and synthetics, so it's only available for them two washes. I think the only good option on it, like I said, is extra water. So it is, so it has that, so it does mixed fabrics is just synthetics with the extra water option. It uses a wee bit more water. It uses actually quite a lot of water, so it does in that wash, which is decent enough. So it is, but yeah, the app does come with like I said, that option, and it comes with some other things like anti-crease soaking, and just some, I think that's mainly it. I think it has like a nighttime option where like does rinse hold at the end or something like that. But yeah, I think the only thing on the app that's interesting to me is extra water, the extra water option. It does have other downloaded programs on the app, such as what else does it have? I have the manual in the house and I don't have it out with me. No, it has a soft toy cycle. It has I think it has a curtains wash on it. I think it has a towel wash. Maybe a lingerie cycle. There's only like 4 or 5 cycles on it. I think I roughly know all the cycles that Beko have like across all their machines that they've had, but I can't remember what the particular washes that this one has, so I can't. Sorry. I think it has 4 downloaded cycle. Sorry, 4 downloaded cycles. So mixed fabrics, soft toys it definitely has. I think it definitely has towels, and I think it has curtains. I think it's M4 that it has. Anyway, so oh yeah, then downloaded cycles are also typically just some of the other cycles on the machine renamed. So yeah, it basically comes with them cycles, so it's already on it. You've got your spin and drain, which defaults to a lower spin at standard, but can go right up to 1400. It's a bit weird that it's like that. And that's the full length spin that I was on about on cottons. That takes 14 minutes for the spin itself. Rinse is just the cottons rinse with again it defaults to 1200, but you can whack it up to 1400. It's quite a shame that you can't have extra rinse on this cycle, which is something that Beko have always been like. They've never allowed extra rinse on their rinse cycle, which is a bit weird. And sometimes because of that, I've ended up rinsing my clothes on quick cold. So I have, rather than rinse if I needed more. But of course with quick, then you only get the short spin. sports cycle is really, really good. The sports cycle is perfect for shoes, so it is. As it does a really fast distribution speed, so the shoes don't bang about as much. The only time it really would bang about is on rinses, where it tumbles, rather than doing the distribution washes. But yeah, decent enough cycle. It also uses Aquatech on that quite a bit too. Yeah, really nice cycle. It allows pre-wash, I think, and I think that's it. I think it only allows pre-wash on that wash. Yeah, I think it's only pre-wash that it allows. But yeah, I've used that a few times. Decent enough cycle. Stain Expert is a wash designed for heavily soiled clothes, and it can tackle like 100 different types of stains, and you can pick between the stains that you're washing by using the fast button. This cycle is actually really good for daily washing. So it is if you have a full load and you want it done with a full length spin, then it's a good idea to use Stain Expert. Stain Expert does do load sensing too, but I think it adds on about 40 minutes for a full load. One con about Stain Expert, and to be honest, the programming as a whole, is that the washing machine has a limited number of times that it can add extra water throughout the wash. So it does. So it gets to a point where if the clothes are still not fully saturated and it saturates more water, it will go on to wash with no water at all. And it's a bit of an issue, so it is. I think all Bekos are like that now. I don't know why they introduced the top-up limit. It's really stupid. Really stupid. But it has that, and there has been times, towels in particular, and even like blankets and towels are typically the bad ones, where it will reach that limit and it won't, wash properly because of that. I know that what I'm saying is a bit too technical, but it is a bad issue. So it's a bad flaw with it. I really don't know why they've went and added that. I think it allows itself about 8 times to top up, to add extra water, and maybe 8 or 9 or something like that, and then after that, forget it. We're going on the main wash with no water at all, pretty much, I think the only thing that you can add is pre-wash on that wash, and thus of course the fast. One thing I really like about Stain Expert is that in the past it used to only do 2 rinses, whereas now they've changed it that if you don't have fast on, it will do 3, which is really good for heavy soiled clothes. So I guess that without fast on, it's about like an extra rinse. And then if you use it with fast or fast plus, then it will only do 2, but it's still a decent enough wash. I found myself, whenever this washing machine was inside, that I was typically using it on 40 with fast plus for full loads quite a lot. So this, but like I said, it is typical for it to reach the top up limit because it's very, very sensitive to top ups. I'm very particular about them on this wash, so it is typical that it reaches that limit with a full. So I think in the manual, to be honest, I think it only allows 4 kilos max. But yeah, I'm the type of person who doesn't really listen to how much it says in the manual to put in. I just stick it all in, pretty much. Anti-allergy now, I'm just noticing you can't. I think that's also a con with it. You can't really see the dial because the pointer's the same color as this part of it, and I think that would be quite awkward for people who have bad vision. It's a bit of a weird design choice that they've chosen. But anyway, anti-allergy. I think this is another bad cycle. Do you see where I'm going with this? We've got how many good cycles? 1, 2, maybe 3, 4. 15 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Like 4 good cycles out of I think like 10. But yeah, anti-allergy is this cycle boils the clothes. This cycle boils the clothes to 50 degrees. I don't know why they kept this cycle. They've kept it that this cycle does a pre-rinse at the start. and then it goes on to the steam phase like what they used to do. It's a very lengthy cycle, it doesn't adjust at all, and yeah, it doesn't use Aquatech at all either. This is the first of all the cycles that I've talked about so far that doesn't use the technology at all. It has steam and extra rinse on, and you can't take them off. You can't adjust the wash at all, really, so you can't. And the rinsing on this cycle doesn't allow top-ups, which is, if you've got a bigger load in this, say a big load of towels, and it ends up running dry on rinses, then you're not going to have very well rinsed towels, pretty much. And it's a really sad thing, because Beko, before they changed the name to anti-allergy, the anti-allergy cycle used to be called baby and toddler clothing on older Beko washing machines, and it was a really, really good cycle. Really good. It was lengthy, yes, it was about 30 minutes shorter than this, what it is now, but it was still really good. Main wash on this cycle fills up about halfway up the glass. You can't really use it for a small load, so you can't, because it will just have way too much water on the main wash. Although admittedly it's nowhere near as bad as what my Blumberg was. My Blumberg used oceans on this wash and very little water on the rinses. And it's still the case with this machine where it uses more water on the main wash than it would on the rinses, but it's still not as bad. I think that's something about this machine as a whole, is that its water usage is, whenever you don't include that top-up limit thing, it's typically really good. Normally, so it is. So yeah, anti-allergy, not so fun. Duvet, forget that. Absolutely forget that cycle. Shirts is a decent cycle too, but I think before I talk about shirts, it's better off that I go back to duvet. Duvet started off as a really good cycle for me, and then it went down underneath the machine, and it wasn't fun. Let me tell you that, it was not fun. I put a full load of blankets on this wash whenever it was indoors, and the main wash started off where it was really good. It used quite a lot of water for the main wash, which is absolutely needed for duvets. So they do need quite a lot of water to get it fully inside the duvet, and the starting off that was a really good cycle. It's a cycle that doesn't use Aquatech at all, and the thing about cycles that don't use Aquatech at all is that it doesn't allow top-ups on rinses because of the way that the programming is. With the rinse top-ups, the washing machine works that it will top up if the water has gotten so low that there's practically the pump's about to run dry with water, and then it will fill up. But because of the fact that it's not using the jet, it will always think that it's got enough water in it, when in reality it hasn't, and it causes dry rinsing. On the duvet cycle, whenever it does, like I said, the main wash was about, it fills up, I think it's around about there on the glass, a really good water level, maybe sometimes just a wee bit below it, but the rinses fill up below the door seal. Yeah, it doesn't rinse good. It doesn't rinse good at all, so it doesn't on that wash. Really bad, really, really bad. I think that was meant to be like a 1 hour 35 wash whenever I used it, and it ended up taking me like 4 hours to get my blankets all rinsed properly, blankets and dressing gowns all rinsed properly, and 3 hours of that was the time taken to rinse. So yeah, not fun at all. It only allows 800 RPM max speed, which I think is personally okay for duvets. I've noticed with duvets, whenever they go on to spin, a lot of the water just comes out of them as soon as it starts. It gets out the bulk of it, and they don't really, well at the same time, whenever I wash duvets, I typically stick them on full speed, but I don't think they necessarily need it. I could be completely wrong. You see, I'll do a duvet wash like that at some point, and I'll be like, oh, I'll take that back. See, that's how all my review videos go, I swear. That's why I've left this one so long, until I've had the machine. So I've had my period where I've really liked it, and then go to really hate it. But anyway, I'll get on to that. I don't think I've had worse washing machines, to be honest. Yeah, I've had worse washing machines. But yeah, not exactly a good cycle. So it's not. It does allow steam and it does allow extra rinse. But yeah, it's not fun. Shirts is to be honest, I used this wash on 60 at one point with Fast Plus on, and I got quite bad results from it. I wore the likes of the socks that I'm wearing now, and you can see that my socks get quite dirty. And whenever I done it on that wash, they came out with stains left on all the socks. So it didn't do a very good job. But with Fast and I think, well, definitely Fast Plus, I haven't used it with Fast, so I haven't done that cycle, but I've noticed with it will do, what do you call it? It does soaking mainly, and it will heat up the water, and then it will add more water up to about there, and then it will start washing. I think it's up to about there. It is deep. It does do a deep level, but without Fast on it, it doesn't do a deep level, so it doesn't actually does quite shallow, but it does like 5 rinses, I think. So it does, which is a bit absurd. But yeah, steam therapy is a cycle I can't really see anyone using, to be honest. It's basically a 17-minute steam phase to I think the manual says to reduce wrinkles in clothes. I stuck a few things on that wash, so not wash, on that steam cycle. So I did at one point it was like a pair of pajamas and what do you call it, like lounging trousers and stuff. It was only like 3 things, and some of the stuff got really soaking wet. So it did, even though that it didn't boil the clothes, they did get, you could tell that the water had obviously been touching them. Obviously after a steam cycle they do typically come out moist, but some things did come out soaking. So they did like really wet patches. It's just not a cycle that I would use at all. I think it was like a one and done thing for me. I feel that it's something that a lot of people won't use at all, so they won't. But yeah, so now we're back to off. Like I guess kind of demonstrated at the start, it does have that thing where if you press them 2 buttons, it has like a wee cycle and info checker, I guess, where it will tell you how many cycles you've started and how many what error codes are stored on it. I think once you check the error codes, so they go away. I did have an E17 at some point, although at the same time I obviously know my stuff about washing machines, and I've cleared them on service mode a few times for engineers. But yeah, I finished talking about the cycles and I completely left out the drum clean cycle by accident, so I did. So by pressing and holding the pre-wash button for 3 seconds, it will come up with a drum clean cycle. It's quite a lengthy cycle, so it is, but it's really good for cleaning out the machine. It uses quite a lot of water for a drum clean cycle, a lot more compared to other machines, but I find it extremely good, especially if the machine itself gets really stinky, because with the amount of water it flicks it all up with its fast wash action, and it does a very, very good job at getting rid of the mold and stuff around the tub, especially compared to some of the other drum cleans. It does quite a bit of stuff at the start, like it does like a pre-rinse to sense that there's nothing in it, and then it does a steam phase before going on to actual main wash. So unfortunately that does mean that with washing machine cleaner it has to be put into a drawer, and it has to be powder based and not liquid. If it's liquid or if it's poured into a drum, it will be wasted and drained out after that pre-rinse, so it will. And the machine will just do the drum clean with hot water rather than an actual cleaning agent. So it is good to either use a powder based washing machine cleaner or dishwasher tablets, which I would typically use. And you can just stick them into the main wash compartment and in the drawer, and then it will clean out perfectly on that. If you press the spin button on drum clean and change the spin speed from 600 RPM to no spin at all, it'll do, I think it's like a 15-minute calibration cycle. I don't really see the point of it, to be honest. It's meant to be a cycle that calibrates like sensors and stuff in it so it can detect the load size properly. But in reality, it seems to just be drum clean pre-rinse with everything else cut out of the cycle. It's a bit of a weird one, and I don't really know why on earth they added it onto this new range of Bekos. It's really weird. I'm gonna stick this on to a drain just because the user interface of the washing machine, it's quite glitchy. So it's quite glitchy in senses. So if I was to start in a wash now, and I guess it can be a handy thing for some people, whenever you cancel the wash, the next wash that you do in the machine, it won't do any load sensing, so it won't. And it will be very, very particular about the top-ups, but the top-up limit won't be there at all. I think it gets like stuck thinking it's only done like one top-up or something like that. So I guess it's handy if you wanted a big load washed in a short time. You could just start a wash, cancel it, and then you could just start it again and get a big load on and done if you didn't want that load sensing. But it's not really something that I particularly like. So I'm just gonna start it, and it'll just drain out. You can hear the pump is very growly on this machine, so it is. Very growly. The growls went away, but it's not the quietest, so it's not whenever it's draining out this water. It's probably just like that because I haven't had the washing machine on in a few days. And it's outside in the shade, so I think it's a bit to be expected. The drum light stays on for 10 minutes once you've started it, and then after 10 minutes it'll go off. But it will turn back on if you pause the machine. So it will. And it lets you open the door. It does have an add garment thing where you can pause it and you can, add extra in. And it has that wee symbol on the display there for it, and it also has its no water symbol. Once the machine's done, it will finish and it has a wee beep. It's not like a wee tune or anything, and it's quite quiet. So, but it's not irritating at all. So it isn't. But yeah. So yeah, that's the beep that it has, and you can also see it has wash progress indicator, so it will show you whenever it's doing its main washing, should I say, because that will also be on if it's doing a pre-wash. It will also show whenever it's rinsing and whenever it's on to its final spin. And then of course at the end there it has its anti-crease light, which will always be on if you have that option on. So yeah. And then of course you do have finally before I do the demonstration of the machine, you do have your pump filter down here. It has a wee emergency drain hose there for if the washing machine, say you had a power cut or something, or a bad blockage and you needed to drain out the water from it, you can just take out this wee hose. Take out this wee hose here if I can, where's it coming? I can be bothered getting that. But yeah, you just take out that wee hose and then you can drain the water out from it, and then yeah, just stick it in a wee dish. And then there is your pump filter there. So you just unscrew that, and then that obviously, just comes out. The filter is a lot smaller now on this compared to what it was like with the old Aquatechs. They used to have a really big long filter because of the fact it has two pumps. It has obviously the drain pump, and then it has another pump for recirculation. The filter is obviously, it's just a single filter. It's not like, it isn't like my Miele washing machine. It has two filters, one for the recirculation and another for the drain pump. But it's enough. So it is. I think most washing machines typically only have the one filter. I think only Miele are the only ones that have two filters for their recirculation and drain pump. You also have a wee tab here, this wee orange tab there, and you basically pull down on this if you have a power cut and you need to get into your washing. If you pull that down, it unlocks the door, and you can take you can rescue your washing pretty much. So yeah, I think I probably should have noted you do have a nice metal hinge for the door too. The door glass on this, even though that it's a new door, is pretty much the same as the old one. Although I think with the old one it has more of a bump on it there compared to this. Though I think that they're all going and using this door glass design. It's just that obviously the door itself is it's tinted, so you can't really see in with the normal one. Whereas I've obviously got this nice squeak looking one, and it looks a lot nicer, but it also costs £100 extra to the machine. So yeah, I can't see practically no one's gonna do what I done and get a new door. But I think I'll link the door that I got down in the description, because why not? Anyway, so let's get on with our demonstration now. Okay, so I've came out with a load of washing. It's totally not a few days later. So yeah, let's do the demonstration of the Beko Aquatech. I will put you on time lapse now and get it all loaded up. This is quite a bit of washing, so it is. I think the basket probably makes it look like there's less, but the washing basket inside is being overflowing, and this is some of it. So let's see how much of that we can fit into this. Okay, so that is us all loaded up. As you can see, there's still plenty of room in the machine. I can still get my hand, on top of the load, and there's still quite a bit of a gap at the top there, so there is, which is really good. It is nice big drum, really nice big 10 kilo drum. That's as wide as the door will open, so you have got plenty of space to load it up. It's so weird not having a wall beside the machine, so I can open it up fully. So just shut the door. So when we'll come over to our detergent now. I'm going to use some of this Ariel washing powder and some softener. It's enough. So softener, of course, goes into our softener compartment there. I'm going to do this wash with a pre-wash, so I'm going to be sticking washing powder into both sides of the drawer. So I will be. Of course, if you don't have pre-wash on, you only stick your stuff in there. Of course, you don't stick pods in there, they go in the drum. Or if you're using liquid, you can stick it in the drum if you want. If it has a wee dose involved. I'm not going to use too much washing stuff for the pre-wash, so I'm not. So I've got to put that much there, and we're going to pour this into the pre-wash part of the drawer. Pre-wash part is a wee tiny bit small, but it's not the smallest I've seen. So it's a decent enough size pre-wash. So that's a pre-wash detergent in, and now for main wash stuff. This is a bit of a dirty load, so it is, but it's not entirely bad, so it's not. Yeah, I think about that will be enough for a main wash. So that's okay. That's spilled it a wee bit. Oopsies. Only a wee bit on the top. Not too bad. So that's our washing stuff in. So we can shut the drawer now. So I've got the machine already turned on, so I have just so that I had the drum light on while I was loading it up. We're going to do this wash on cottons 1400 spin, pre-wash, extra rinse and fast, 1 hour 40. Let's go. I've got my water on, haven't I? Yeah. Actually, hang on. I might not. I'll be back in a wee second. So we are filling up for pre-wash now. I completely forgot. I wanted to start a timer for this wash, so I did, and I completely forgot all about it. I have started it, but just a teeny tiny bit late. So that's it filling up now for pre-wash. My water pressure is rubbish, absolutely rubbish, but the washing machine still works really well with it. I've had some washing machines with washing powder in particular, some won't really take it in well, so the one but this one always does, which is really good. It also works perfectly fine with low water pressure. I've had other washing machines that some fill up with a timer, and then if you have low water pressure, it can cause issues that way. That's one of the things I deal with that Mega washing machine, my new one. Well, modern one. This one's newer than that, so it is. Although that one's still on the market. But I can't use that washing machine at all now because of the water pressure. It doesn't work with it. Well, it does work, but it doesn't allow enough time for filling up on the rinses. But this washing machine, it will allow as much time as it needs to fill up. Obviously, if there's no water in it, then it won't. You know, it'll come up with an error code that has a wee thing on the display that says no water. But if it's never came up, so it hasn't. It works fine with it. Like I said, I think I said whenever I was talking about the drum and stuff, the drum light does stay on for 10 minutes whenever you start to wash, so it does, and then it'll go off. But yeah, I'll let it do its thing just. So it's washing away a bit now, so it is. This is the first top up, and you'll notice whenever it does its first top up, it tops up, fills a wee bit deeper than all the other ones, so it does, which is a wee bit weird. But it's just the way it is. So it is working away now. You'll notice whenever it starts to fill up again, there's a wee light on the display that will come up to tell you if you can add anything to the wash. So as you can see, it came on, it's went away. To be honest, it's not really that helpful, that feature, because it doesn't really come on. It only really comes on if it's filling up, or if it reaches the top up limit, so it does. Like now. So if I pause the washing machine now, you'll see that it's unlocked the door, and I can add anything extra if I want to. If I say I forgot a pair of socks or whatever, then you can pause it and add extra washing to it if you forgot any. It's really handy, so it is in that sense, but it doesn't really allow you that much. To be honest, the old ones that didn't have the symbol at all for it allowed more time to put stuff in, or you know, it's quite weird. To be honest, at any washing machine that allows you to pause it mid-cycle, you can add anything to it. Like I have this washing machine here, which is 15, and even it allows you to add stuff mid-wash. Although this one here works a wee bit different in a sense. Whenever it starts to wash, it won't actually lock a door, which is quite interesting. I think obviously like this really old washing machine wouldn't let you, but yeah, but pretty much all modern washing machines will actually unlock a door. It's just that with them, some will have a delay, so they won't be instant unlock like this one. So some of them you have to wait 2 minutes for the door to unlock, and then you can add stuff. But because of that 2 minute wait for it to unlock a door, quite a lot of people think that you can't add anything to them. But yeah, so that's why brands, I think it was since Samsung introduced their stupid ass wash thing, that brands have now started to incorporate like symbols on their displays to show that you can open the door if you pause it. But yeah, that's something for you. They all have it. I think every washing machine on the market now will have that. So while it's washing away now, it's also doing its load sensing, so it is determining how much washing is in it. This washing machine only has 2 levels of load sensing, which is half load or full load, aside from Eco 4060, where it will detect if there's a mini load of 2.5 kilo or less, in fact between 2.5 kilo and 5 kilo, or if it's a full load. But all the other cycles, it only goes half load or full load. It isn't the most variable machine with its load sensing, but it still has it. And then the times on the display are all the time for the half load. So with this wash, it will jump up. So it will. I think the belt slipped in a wee bit, but it's just because of the fact it's outside. It doesn't normally slip. So it doesn't. I haven't used the machine in a wee bit, so I haven't. It does, of course, have child lock too. I think I completely skipped that. And I forgot to talk about drum clean too, so I'll do that once it's done. But child lock locks everything, so you can't touch anything and nothing will work, which is handy. I will talk more about that at the end, so I will, because with this washing machine you have to have child lock on all the time because of the buttons. But I'll talk about that in the pros and cons and stuff that I'm gonna do at the end. So I will, along with a few other things. But yeah, it's still filling up halfway. As you can see, your drum lights went out now because it's been on for 10 minutes. The belt on this one doesn't normally slip, so it doesn't. I think it's probably just been cold at night. Maybe that's why it's maybe stretched a wee bit. But it doesn't affect the washing machine, obviously, so it just makes a noise. That wee one there, it'll go away once it's heated up, but so the washing machine has now reached its top up limit, so it has. So even if the water continues to drop lower, it won't top up at all. So it won't, it's quite a stupid thing that the washing machine has. So it is, and you can tell that because of the light staying on. So you can that it's reached it, so it's washing with quite a low water level. You can see a few dry spots on them there. It's still got water in it, like, so it has, but it might get to a point where there isn't any water in it. Maybe not though, maybe not with this load. A load of towels, a big load of towels like that probably, but you can see it is really low now, so it is. I think that's why I used pre-wash, to be honest, because I wanted to have more water in it for the main wash, so I do. It's a wee bit of an iron thing that this one has. There is still water in it, like, but it's not much. So I think it's coming towards the end of its pre-wash now because the wee lights went off. I don't think it has any water left in it, so it doesn't, but everything has got fully wet. Which you can tell by the fact that the water's coming off them and onto the door glass. So that's got everything wet at least, but yeah. If it's on main wash, once it goes to heating, if there's way too little water in it, it tops up, but I've noticed that sometimes it doesn't. So I think if I didn't have pre-wash on, it would probably just go on the main wash like this, and wouldn't have it just wash with how much water's in that there, which is practically none left. Although I think I have had cases where I've let it go on the main wash with a water level like that, and it's being able to wash fine, which is quite surprising. So it is. But yeah. And you can see that our time has been extended by about 20 minutes. And that's all the water it had in it. The pump is really growly on this machine. It's not smooth at all, so it's not. Which is, I don't know why they changed the pump, to be honest, because the last generation of Aquatechs, the pump was really nice on them. But now it's just really growly. So, like I said, that's the load sensing on it. If it wasn't for fast being on, that wash would have jumped from around about that time up to 3.5 hours. So that's something that takes people by surprise quite a bit, you know. I think the time increase for standard length is too much, to be honest. So it is. So we're now filling for the main wash, taking in the washing powder. And because of the fact that pre-wash was on and it's detected a full load, it will do a deeper level main wash. I think it fills up to about there or something like that. So pre-wash, I suppose, is good for heavy soiled stuff, so it is, with the fact that increases the water level too if it's full, but wouldn't use way too much if it's a small load. Though sometimes with a small load it can use too much, a wee bit too much, but it's not as bad as what they were like in the past. So it's not. So as you can see, it does increase the water level quite a bit. It's still filling up. If pre-wash wasn't on, it would do the same water level as what it done on pre-wash. So it would. As you can see again, it has taken in all the washing powder, so it has perfectly fine. I think I forgot to mention, although I know I talked about it whenever I showed all the cycles, the pre-wash is cold, it doesn't heat at all. Beko have always been like that with their pre-wash, where it doesn't heat at all. So I suppose it's not really great, so it's not their pre-wash, so it isn't Most other machines will heat on it so that the washing powder can work properly, but with Beko's it's basically like a pre-rinse rather than a pre-wash. So it is. It's a bit of a shame. But I really can't see Beko changing it anytime soon. So I can't. I'll be shocked the day that they changed it because of how long it's been like that. Okay, so we have started to heat the water up, so it is. And it's on to its intensive action now. Where it will do its typical fast wash action like this, and then it will do a distribution tumble every 5 tumbles, so it will. Which you'll see on the next tumble once it's finished this one, I'm pretty sure. Of course the wash action's all different depending on the wash you use. I think it's only dark cottons and dark hair that do this wash action with the distribution tumble. So you can see now it's going a bit faster and it's obviously whipping up quite a bit of suds. It is quite intensive. Then I'll go back to its normal tumbling, so it will now. And then I'll do that again after 5 tumbles, so it will. So does this wash action, I think it's around about half an hour, I think, for this particular wash. Obviously it all depends on like load sizes and what it detects and stuff. And then it will go on to its Aquatech phase for about 20 minutes, half an hour. It typically uses Aquatech mid main wash and then most of the rinses depending on the cycle. Extra rinse, on the extra rinse that it'll do, it won't use it, but it'll use it on the first rinse and the final rinse, so it will. The only washes that use Aquatech at the very start are quick, and I guess Eco 4060 uses it for the whole thing, the whole cycle, so it does. Although Eco 40 has to use it because of the fact that it uses so little water, and even with it, it practically has no water left. But yeah, it is washing away nicely. It's all tumbling fine, so it is. With heavy loads, the drum does drop a wee bit, and that's why the door seal is a little bit wrinkled like that. All washing machines do that, so they do. It's just because of how heavy it is. The washing machine has 3 shock absorbers in a triangle formation underneath, so it does to hold the drum up, and then obviously it has its springs, but it only has 2. It has 2 really big ones. 3 shock absorbers is always a good thing for a 10 kilo washing machine. I've seen 10 kilos washing machines that cheap it out and only use 2, and they really need 3 because of how much washing is going to be in them. Well, that can be in them. It just offers more stability, so it does. The one in particular that I used that has 2, the drum on it bounced about quite a bit, so it did. Whereas this one, Beko do use quite stiff shock absorbers too, so the drum doesn't, well, it obviously moves about, so it does, but it doesn't move about too much, so it doesn't. It moves about enough, but not too much. I think they're quite good quality metal ones too, so they are. I know I have one somewhere, but they're probably in my storage box outside, and I couldn't be bothered going out and looking for them. I have my Bloomberg's one back whenever I had it. The shock absorbers in it were changed because of it being faulty from factory, and it made a ridiculous knocking sound on spin, so it did. So they ended up being changed. But all the ones on this one are absolutely fine, so they are. Okay, so I just came back to the washing machine. It's got 50 minutes left, and it's on to using Aquatech. So it is. So it uses the jet system on the main wash after every 3 tumbles. So it does. So it's not doing its intensive action anymore. It's just doing long tumbles, and then every 3rd tumble after it, it'll put the jet system on. So it only uses it for like 3 seconds, so it doesn't use it long. So it doesn't, but it does. It uses it, you know, it has quite a lot of phases, if you know what I mean. It does have quite a lot of parts where it will use it. I've seen some washing machines with their jet systems where they don't use it as much, even though that it's there. So it's quite interesting seeing a machine that has to line up a paddle to the top of the drum use it more than one that just sprays water onto clothes from the top, from the door seal. Should do it after this tumble, I think, if I'm correct. Yep, it is. Then it just showers down onto the load. So we'll do a wee bit of a slower tumble, as you may have seen there, where it will line the paddle up to the top of the drum by the magnets that are in it. And then it will just start tumbling again. So yeah, it just puts it on for like 3 seconds. It's not long, but it's actually still effective. So it is, which you'd be quite shocked about with the fact that it doesn't have it on for long. I think the wash machine mainly uses it so that the rinses are a lot faster. The rinses on this machine are very short. Well, on cottons anyway they are. Some cycles not so much. If it's on cottons with full length, it does like the 3-hour wash. Then it does really long rinses, but with a half load or a fast is on, it does short ones. Sometimes it's too short, so it is, but particularly for half load, because the final rinse is stupidly short. But with this load it'll be okay. So well, I probably wouldn't have even needed the extra rinse, to be honest, but I just wanted it on to show you what the extra rinse was like on it. I think while I'm here, I want to apologise about the video length. I think this is going to be like a 2-hour review. No, not even think it is going to be a 2-hour review, which I think is quite excessive compared to normal. I tried to limit them to about an hour, but I've just had like quite a lot to talk about with this machine, so I have. And I don't like to rush stuff and then skip over stuff. I have timestamps in the bottom of the description anyway, so you can go look at them. If there's any particular thing that you want to know about the machine, I cover everything in detail. But too much detail, but hey, oh, it is what it is. It's nice and cold. I can stick my heater on, so I can again. So yeah, you can see it's aligning at the top there, and it's turning it on. If the wee sensor for it isn't working, it isn't able to align the paddle, so it'll just turn the jet system on anywhere, and it won't really spray onto the clothes, so it won't. But the wash machine will still work and it will still clean. It's just that the results might not be satisfactory, particularly on cottons. Other cycles would all be okay, so they would. Okay. But I don't know if the sensors are better or what. I don't think I've seen a new one with a brook sensor yet, but they're still new. So they are. But I know like my cousin's won the sensor and his only lasted about a year before it went. Which wasn't too fun, but the washing machine still works. So it does. It is quite nice that it uses Aquatech on the main wash now. My cousin's one doesn't. It only really uses it on the rinses. So it is nice that Beko changed that and have it using it a lot more. Like even like the 12 kilo one that's out now. I know the review's mainly for this, but like the 12 kilo one, and I reckon the successor to this machine that I was on about with the Energyspin and all, they'll probably use it even more. They've started to use it at the start now, so they have, and use less water. So they do. Okay. But yeah. All good. I'll try and come back whenever it goes on to its first spin, but I have to go and get dinner now, so I may miss it. Hopefully not. In fact, before I go, actually, I forgot to say, it seems to have maybe potentially done a wee bit lower than it was meant to. And the glass is only at 35, but the water is coming into the washing machine quite cold, so it is. It normally does about 45, although it's just possible that it's been on Aquatech for a bit. I think it's like pretty much about to go onto its spin, so I probably will miss it. But yeah, it's it was pretty much done 40, so it's not that bad. Could have been a lot worse. So we've just started first rinse. I unfortunately did miss the spin, so I did. So on the rinsing, you'll see that it uses Aquatech quite often, so it does. And the rinses are quite short, like I said. This one in particular is only 5 tumbles long. But I find that even with the fact it's so short, it's still really effective, which is quite surprising at the fact, with the fact it's so short. The washing machine static fills too, so it's not tumbling, you know, while it's filling up. I've came in actually a wee bit later than I thought. It must have been, the water level must have been, you know, dropped lower, and it realised it needed to top up and add extra water. So it had already been rinsing for a bit there. I'm freezing. The washing machine adjusts its rinse water levels depending on how much washing's in it. It still does quite deep levels, even with the fact, even whenever it detects a half load. But I've noticed whenever it's on fast on cottons, it doesn't adjust the water level on the first rinse, but you'll notice that the water levels on the next two will be adjusted. It's quite weird. But anyway, so it's on the balancing now. So it is. It does that wee thing first whenever it starts the balancing for the interim spins, and then it'll go into its proper balancing attempts. The way that the balancing works on this washing machine is, so I'll spend around about 30-40 seconds at this speed, determining how unbalanced it is, and then it will go up a wee tiny bit faster until we Yeah, faster distribution for about 10 seconds, and if it's still happy with the balance, it will go into spin. On the faster in-term spins, which it's gonna do 1000 RPM, so you can see it now, it's increased the speed a bit, so it has. If it feels it's too unbalanced, it will stop and it will anti-tangle, and then it'll go back into balancing, which I think will be the case here, which isn't the case to my shock. It's just went for it straight away pretty much. So, for notes, the washing machine, the washing machine is on a wooden floor, so it is gonna rock about quite a bit. It's on a very bouncy wooden floor at that. It doesn't really do bursts much apart from on the final spin, and with the fact it detected a full load, it done one on the first in-term spin, but it just mainly just goes for it. It goes straight into its spin, so it does. It can be a bit particular with balancing. It can take a bit to balance sometimes, but not all the time. It'll happily go first time if it feels happy with it. It's not, wouldn't rebalance, like perfectly balance the temps or anything like that. You may hear it starting to thump a wee bit. It's just it bouncing on the floor. As it is shaking quite a bit. That's just the doors and all rattling. I think it's a tiny bit unlevel, but maybe over here is a bit bouncier. I've tried to have one as best as I can. That's just the joys of really bouncy wooden floors. Whenever I had it in my shed before, it didn't really shake. Obviously if it's on solid tiles or whatever have you, it will, you know, be solid on the ground and be really quiet. But there's just nothing I can really do about it in the shed, so I can't. I think that's about as best as I'll get it. Try hold it. I can hold it. So I suppose that's about roughly as loud as it is. Whenever it's on, it's not that loud, so it isn't. And it spins for quite a good length on the in-term spins. So first and second spin are performed at 1000 RPM for this wash, and then the next one will go and I'll do a short 1400 RPM spin, and then the final spin will be exactly the same, short. Don't need to hold on now. That's just my toolbox is rattling. But if it's on a shorter, not a shorter spin, a slower spin, if it's doing a 600 RPM in-term spin, it will continue to balance the one way, so it will, rather than doing anti-tangles. So it adjusts its balancing quite a lot, to be honest. So it does, and it practically never limits the spin either, which is fantastic. I've only had the limit a handful of interim spins on me, and I've never ever had it to limit a final spin on me in the whole time I've had it. Whereas other machines that I've had would limit quite a bit, say 800 RPM, 1200 RPM, stuff like that. But yeah, I quite like that because the previous Bekos used to, after about 10 minutes of balancing, they'd only do a 600 RPM spin. And the 600 RPM spin, obviously it could come out soaking. So it's very nice that they don't limit at all, pretty much. It only has two spin limitations. Diver does full speed or 800. So it would do 800 spin if it's been balancing for quite a lot of time. I'm talking like 10 minutes plus. Maybe after about 8 minutes on interim spins. And then I'll do like a really short 800 RPM spin, but it's, I'm just really happy that they changed that on them. That's like, the 600 RPM spin was absolutely rubbish. So it was a big letdown with the previous ones, and the previous ones were really sensitive with smaller loads too, whereas this isn't. It spins pretty much straight away, even with smaller loads, which is really nice. I think it's mainly bigger loads like tolls and stuff, where it may take it a wee bit to balance, but it's not too bad, in my opinion. I think I've had quite a bit of comments saying about it being a really sensitive machine, but to me it just doesn't feel it. Although my new washing machine, I did notice a difference. I have a Hoover H-Wash 700 inside now, so I do, and it spins like straight away, like all the time. So it does. Yeah, as a whole it doesn't feel that sensitive to me, considering how big the drum is in such a limited amount of space. Let some light back in. So you can see for this rinse, it's I adjusted it so it's doing a deeper fill. I think on the last rinse it only filled up to about there. I don't know if I'll keep that door open for too long, to be honest. It's really cold. So it is. Oh dear. So you can see that's the amount of water it fills up to with a full load. With this rinse, with the extra rinse, it does quite a short rinse all the time on cottons. Other cycles they do a long rinse, so they do, but it doesn't use Aquatech at all, so it doesn't on the extra one. I think it's only like 2 minutes long. It's really cold outside. The washing machine's been on for 2 hours now, so it has. It's still got 20 minutes left. It does take a bit longer because of the water pressure, so it does. Especially with floor loads. It doesn't take into account any time for filling or balancing, so the time on the display is pretty much the shortest it's going to take. So it does mean that cycles are typically a bit longer than what they say at the start. And then they're like significantly longer if you include the fact that it jumps up with depending on how much washing it's got in it. I think for some people it would probably take a bit to get used to, but it seems to be the direction that most brands are going towards. Well, quite a few anyway. So that's it going on to its spin now. It's my light dead. So it's balancing for its spin now, so it is. I'll turn the pump on if it detects that there's too much water in it while it's balancing. Just happy with that. Again, the joy stuff. So on its 1400 RPM spins, it rather than spinning at 1400, it spends most of its time spinning at 400 RPM instead to drain out any excess water. It's a good concept, but it's a bit of a waste of time. The original plan was that I was going to count the cycle on my old phone. So I was, how long it was taking, but it was on the charger and I completely forgot about it whenever it started. So I did. So whenever it gets the final spin with this phone here, I'm gonna time how long it spins, how much time it spends at 400 RPM, and compare it to the time that it spends at 1400 on the final spin, as the final spin that it does is the exact same as this interim spin, with the fact that fast is on. You can already see it spends a lot of time at 400. It spends about a minute at it, I think. All them scrapes on the back of the drum just show how much I've used this machine. It's been through quite a bit. Might end up going back to balancing with that. Really shaking that washing machine. So the washing machine is now filling through the softener part of the, whoops, sorry. So it's now filling up through the softener part of the drawer for its final rinse. Again, it's quite a short rinse, so it is. Same length as the first one. And it uses Aquatech, so it does. So it's nearly finished filling up now, so it has. Whenever it's filling for the softener rinse, I'll open the door for you. So while it's filling up for softener rinse, once it's pretty much done filling up, it'll begin to fill through the main wash compartment. So it will, just to let all the fabric softener flush away out of it. While that's compartment's emptying. Obviously my water pressure is absolutely rubbish. So it is, so with pretty much everyone else using this, whenever they have this machine, if they decide to buy it, it won't be trickling in like that. My water pressure is just shocking. But as you can see there, it starts to fill up for the main wash compartment, just to let all the softener flow into the machine if there's any like residual softener left in that wee compartment while it's draining out the water from it. And again, you can see there that it doesn't really spin the wee spinny thing. It's meant to spin, it's just there. But anyway, I'll go on to its rinse now. So, with a half load, if it had have detected a half load, or if I had have used fast times 2, it would go on the final spin here. So it would. I just feel the final rinse isn't nearly long enough for a half load. Although it's not really too bad with it. As they still come out smelling of softener, but I find that bedding doesn't really come out smelling of it, like anything. So it doesn't. But with the fact that some fast times 1 and it's detected a full load, it spends a wee bit longer on final rinse. So it does. Which is enough time to get that softener all working. I don't know why they changed the final rinse for a half load. It used to always be this length for everything. I don't know what exactly shaving a minute off is gonna do. You know. You shaved a minute off in the poorest place. So it's gonna go on to its final spin now, which lasts 10 minutes. Well, I think it goes down to 8 actually once it starts to balance. So I've got my timer all out here, so I have. Started it. You can see, like, it is really good at draining out its water, so it is. With my use, it did sudslock more in the house mainly because of the way that my drainage is indoors. Our standpipe's a lot thinner than the ones out here, and also because of it being a lot thinner, the hose of it doesn't really go in right with the if I get my torch. Because of the wee plastic bracket, it can't fit into the drain hose, not the drain hose, into the drain pipe indoors, so it can't, so the drain hose is a wee bit higher than it's meant to be, I think. But I just noticed that, out here, they don't sudslock as much as indoors, so they don't at all. It never ever sudslocked outside whenever I had it out here, but it sudslocked a bit inside. So I feel in a sense it doesn't really need the spin bursts because of that. And anyway, if it sudslocks on the spin burst, it's very sensitive to suds, so it just stops straight away, even if it's a tiny amount. So you can see here, it's already spent 2 minutes. Spinning at 400. And then we'll lap it so that we'll count the balancing. So it's already spent 3 minutes of its under 10 minute final spin, doing 400 RPM and balancing again. Now if we come to this 1400 spin, it's just too short. It's way too short. So again, same as the last in-term spin, it ramps up straight to 1400, holds for a wee tiny bit and then goes straight back down. not even 30 seconds at full speed. Well, I think it spins about 25. I think I pressed it a wee tiny bit early. So yeah, it's nowhere near enough. It could take them 3 minutes doing a 400 RPM burst and put it towards the final spin. Like, it's just stupid. It's really stupid. So our final spin lasted a total of around 6.5 minutes. As you can see on lap 1 and 2, lap 1 was where it was spinning, and then lap 2 was the balancing. So you can see there that it spent 2 minutes spinning and then 1 minute balancing, so 3 minutes. It's spent like longer doing 400 RPM than the main spin. I'll let you hear it. Okay, so yeah, that's it done now. You can believe me or you can't. It's okay, I won't be offended. So the time of this wash took 2.5 hours, just under 2.5. So it did. So let's open it up and see the results. Yeah, they feel very wet. Very wet. Yeah, it doesn't spin enough. I'll take some of them out here to show the drum, because with the fact that it spins for such a little amount of time, it means that it actually still has residue of water left in the drum, so it does. Those were quite dirty whenever they went in, but they've came out clean. That's one thing, really good thing about this machine, is the wash results. The likes of that titty feel very wet. The jumpers, again, really, really wet. I think the most comparable way that I can relate the spin results to is about 800 to 1000 RPM on a longer spin on another washing machine. So it's basically a 1400 RPM really short final spin. It gives about the same results as an 800 RPM spin that spans a decent amount of time at that. The likes of that hoodie is absolutely soaking. If I was to put this load into my heat pump dryer, it would probably be drying for about 3 hours. So it would. Yeah, the spin results just aren't good. On the shorter washes, well, if you can even call that a shorter wash, it was 2.5 hour wash. Yeah, these trousers here, particularly thicker stuff, come out really wet. But you can see that it's such a short spin to the point where there's moisture on the drum. Quite a lot of moisture on it, to be honest. As you can see. So I've spent about 2.5 hours on that wash, and I'm gonna be spending another 16 minutes on respinning this. So I just have to stick it all back in and then put it onto its spin and drain and hope that none of my drawstrings get sucked in. So yeah, I will be back once I've got this all loaded up. Yep, so I've got that all loaded back in. So I think I forgot to say while it was on, the cycle indicators will have progressed through. So I'll have to show what part of the wash it's on. You may have seen it whenever I showed the time. I forgot to mention it while it was, you know, progressing for you. Thankfully, spin and drain. So spin and drain will always do the long final spin. So it will give good results on that. Cotton's full length always does it a long final spin. It's just with fast it does a really short one. That really short one, which isn't good. Eco 4060 does a long final spin. I think it's all the cycles except for quick, and Cotton's with fast plus on that. You know, it's only Cotton's fast plus and quick that do the short final spin. So anyway, I'll let it you know, continue to do its thing. So it's doing its full length spin now. You can see that it's obviously spinning for a lot longer, and it's holding at higher speeds for a lot longer. Sorry about everything rattling about in my shed. But in the long final spin, it will hold at full speed for about 2.5 minutes, which is more than enough. It's just, I really wish it done this final spin on like all the cycles. All the ones that allow 1400 RPM anyway, or something similar to it. Even if it went up to full speed and held a bit longer, it would be fine, you know. The long final spin gives very good results. So good, in fact, it actually spins a lot better than my Hoover, so it does. I've noticed that. It is a 1600 spin, whereas this is 1400. Although the G-force is higher on this because of the fact that it has a bigger drum. But it's still better, you know. The motor itself generally is quiet too, so it is. It's mainly just the pump that lets it down noise wise. I wish I didn't turn my camera off. It just done a thing that I was... No. It just done a thing there that I was going to talk about in my cons. I was hoping to have a video of it on the review. Oh, that's annoying. That's really annoying. As soon as I turned my video off, it done it. I didn't catch it doing it on this wish apart from that one time there. I normally wouldn't do it in a situation like this, but there we are. I was gonna leave the video on too, like I am now. So there it's on decrease now. So it will, and then I'll go on the drain and just end. Yeah, I feel a lot better. A lot better. Feel very dry from that spin, so they do. They do smell very nice too. So anyway, that's that done. So I think it's a good idea to get on to the pros, the cons, and what I think my final verdict on this machine. Okay, so we're now at the end of the review video. I filmed the review video across 3 separate days, so I have. So I've done one day for the introduction and talk about the cycles and stuff, and then a second day. On the second day I've done the full cycle, well, complete cycle, and talk about how it works and stuff like that. And now we've came to the summary pros and cons and conclusion of the review. This machine's actually going to its new home today, so it's a wee bit of a rush. Hopefully not too bad, but it is to some extent. And I've edited the video a little bit, so I have, and I realised that this is going to be about 2 hours, 40 minutes, 2 hours and 50. And I know that people aren't going to want to sit and watch a 2 hour, 50-minute video on a washing machine, but it's all I have, I'm sorry. So I'm going to try and do like a summary at the end here, just so that anyone who doesn't want to sit through 2 hours 50 minutes can just skip to the end and get an overall opinion on it. So we'll start with the pros first. What pros have we got? Ease of use generally is really good. The porthole size is nice and big. It's really simple to load it and unload it. I find that the wider drum makes it easier for that too. Detergent drawer is a big, massive improvement from the previous series, and it's so easy to load this. It's one of the simpler ones to put detergent into. And it's quite nice. It's so easy to start a cycle on it. It's not really complex, so it isn't. The wash results as a general are pretty much always really good. The stain removal is perfect on it on, I think, like all cycles except maybe Eco 4060, depending on load sensing. So it is. I suppose, well, quick allows a full load to be washed on it, so it does. But I suppose in general you can't really, it wouldn't wash a full load on that properly, so it wouldn't. The Stain Expert cycle is a really good one too, so it is. It's just fantastic for daily loads. Like, it's good that it's got a stain cycle and it doesn't take like 4 hours on it, which is nice. I find that quite typically a stain wash is typically like 4 hours. So it is. What other good things have I got? Well, it's silent whenever it's on. It's quite quiet. The touch buttons are really responsive, but I am gonna have to talk about the touch buttons and the cons. So I think I'll probably bounce a bit between the pros and the cons now, to be honest. Cons that are there that don't bother me. So whenever it finished the spin and drain and I turned the video off, and I said, gosh, there's a con about it that I was hoping to get on video but didn't, and then it done it. That con is called an inverter reset that it done. And an inverter reset is basically whenever the machine, it goes to tumble, but, well, we can't really describe it, so you can't, apart from what happens whenever the machine does it. But it's like it can't give enough power to the motor to turn, or something like that, so it has to cut the inverter module and turn it off completely, and then it has to turn it back on to start tumbling again. Inverter resets is something that all inverter washing machines can do at some point, and it's typically caused but whenever a heavy load is more on one side of the drum than the other. So it is. So whenever it goes to turn, and say that load's like all stuck on this side of the paddle and it goes to turn this way, all of that weight will be restricting it from being able to turn, and it won't be able to go straight away, and it'll have to cut the module off. But this washing machine, it inverter resets constantly, and I mean constantly, to a point where it does it about, well, it's typically 3 times a wash, but it can be up to 10, 15, excessive numbers, and it's not really great. I just started. It's already done 4 tumbles and it's already reset twice. Come on. It doesn't really bother me, the inverter resetting, but I didn't stick in too much washing powder because I don't want it to be stupidly sudsy on the main wash, so I don't. It is inverter resetting. Another thing that the inverter, on a really rare occasion, whenever it goes and the inverter module glitches and resets and stuff like that, is that it can actually get stuck tumbling with the spin brake on. And the noise that it makes, it sounds like a grinder. So it does pretty much, it sounds dreadful. That's it, it's only done that only once before, so it has. Ouch.
That's right. Where does it go in?
Same inverter module, that's rubbish.
What?
Inverter module, that's rubbish.
I don't even think I need that much of it.
Not yet, it's not softening it. It's not
It is
softening.
like.
Thankfully, it's only happened twice to me, but the last Beko washing machines, while they'd done the inverter resets, they never got stuck with the drum, you know, with the spin brake on, trying to turn with it on. It just sounds awful whenever it does that. But that's only happened twice to me, thankfully. So that's a con with it there. It also, so yeah, that mainly happens with like smaller loads. Like it can happen with a few t-shirts. It can struggle to turn a few t-shirts. You know, it's not good. So it's not, it's a big flaw with it. So it is that it can't turn couple of t-shirts properly at times. It does get going once it's reset the module, but it can, you know, it's just not great. So it's not in that sense. But I can also do it on spins too if it's a really sudsy spin and it suds locks. If it's really thick, the washing machine, they typically don't really detect thick suds locks, so they keep on spinning with it. If it's a really, really thick suds lock, where it's went into spin with suds that have been, you know, in the wash, like say that you've put in too much detergent and it goes into spin with like suds like a good bit up the glass, like that. I had a case where it went into spin and the motor, it just can't provide enough power for it, so it can't, and it ended up making a big loud thump and stopped spinning whenever it wasn't meant to. So I think that's another thing with the inverter module there. Inverter module issues have been a thing with the new Bekos. So they have for a few years now since they, well, maybe not since they released Aquatech ones, but I'd say like 2021 onwards, they've been really glitchy, so they have, which is quite sad in that sense and quite a shame. So it is, it's really sad that it has that. So it is. But I think that genuinely, a normal user probably wouldn't notice it apart from the grinding thing that I was on about. But just the PCBs as a whole are really poor. They're just really poor quality. This one's got to a point where whenever it's on the wash, like I showed whenever I started the wash, every time I start a wash, I have to have child lock on, because if I didn't, I genuinely couldn't trust this machine that it would go through the wash okay, because the buttons are so sensitive. From what I've heard, dust can get trapped in them, so they can, and whenever dust gets trapped in them, they touch stuff constantly while the washing machine's on. I've only had it happen twice, but 2 times it's tried to pause itself mid-cycle.
Machine's trying to touch buttons again.
I had whenever I first got the machine, like on its 20th wash, it paused itself out here in the shed, and it was left paused for about 20 minutes because I didn't know that it had done it. I was inside at the time. And like that could be like a real deal breaker. A washing machine shouldn't be touching buttons itself mid-cycle. And I've seen multiple of them do it. My Bloomberg washing machine done it 4 times whenever I had it. And I've seen other ones that keep on like repeatedly touch stuff themselves because dust gets trapped in them. It's just weird. It's really weird. The cycle extending too, I know would be a big issue for people, especially ones who like just turn the washing machine on and go. Like a 1 hour 21 wash definitely should not be going up to 4 hours. That's a bit ridiculous. You know, it should not be going that high up. So it shouldn't. I know it's for a full load and stuff. Beko do say in the manual of them on the Cottons and Cotton's Eco Cotton's Eco Cycles. They haven't changed it, that it says Eco 4060 on them. That it that there could be a difference between 1 and 1.5 hours. But it's just so excessive. So it is. It's quite absurd. So it is. The spin results, pro and con for this. The spin results on the long final spin are absolutely fantastic, to the point where I feel it spins as well, if not better, than some 1600 RPM washing machines. The clothes from that final spin definitely come out drier than my Hoover 1600 RPM spin washing machine, but the short final spin is absolutely awful. It's really bad. The clothes come out soaking from it. Really soaking. And it's down to the fact that there isn't enough holes in the drum. The old drum, while the short final spin never was good, I never noticed it on the old drum design with more holes on it. Whereas this one, it's very, very noticeable. If you do a shorter wash and it does that short final spin, you can best bet that you'll be respinning everything. Pretty much the spin results are terrible. So they are. I think the biggest con of all was the drawstring thing with the door seal. I can't express how many items of clothing this washing machine's destroyed because of, as minor as it may be to some people, the drawstrings like constantly on this one got trapped in between this door seal, so they did. To a period where it was once a week, and it happened about 7 times in 2 months or less. One of the drawstrings got stuck so bad in there that it actually ended up pretty much ripping off completely. Well, it was left on by 2 threads, so it was, and then a few days later, I found the drawstring that had ripped in the dryer filter. So that wasn't fun. It also ripped a £30 bra, so it did, and it badly damaged the door. So it did, as you can see, it's really badly gashed it from the bra. It like got stuck at the front of the underneath the door glass, so it did, on a really fast spin, and it ended up ripping the bra and exposing the wire, which on spin it ended up causing that. So it did. I think you can probably see it a bit better if I have my light on it. Yeah, you can see it quite clear there. It really badly damaged that door. I paid like £100 for this new door, and it ended up damaging the glass a bit after a week. Well, that's not an extreme case at all there. It's things like that that do smash the door glass. So it is, whenever bras or zips or stuff get stuck on spin and the smack against them at really high speeds, that is typically what causes the door glass to shatter. That's only nicked the glass though, so it's nowhere near close to shattering at all, so it's not. But if you have like really big, massive, thick gashes on the door glass, then yeah. But that door wouldn't it wouldn't smash anytime soon, so it's not thick. It's just the way that it's done it. You know, it's quite long on the glass, but it's not deep into it, which isn't too bad. Like I think I said at the start of the video, the door glass on this and the old door is pretty much the same, only that this one has less of a curve in the middle. It doesn't affect the dimensions of the door, and I'm pretty sure that they're using this door glass now on all the new ones, so they are. So I know that there could be someone who will say, oh, it's got the wrong door on it, that's why. It's not. It would have happened with the old door glass, so it would have. The cycles, whenever we talk about the cycles, there's some really heavy hitter cycles that are really good. Like the Cotton's Half Load cycle is an absolutely fantastic wash. It's probably one of the best short cotton washes I've used. To be honest, it does a really good spin, really good main wash, and decent rinses. Although the rinses are quite short, and I'll get onto rinses shortly. Synthetics is really good. Dark Care, it's just cottons. Stain Expert is good. But the rest of the cycles, well, sports is okay. Shirts, excluding Fast Plus, is okay. But all the other ones are bad. Like Dark Hair is copy and paste, but it's okay, it's cottons. Eco 4060 is absolutely shambolic. Hand wash disappointed me because one of my main cons with the old hand wash was that I felt it didn't use the jet system enough, and now they've pretty much removed Aquatech usage from it entirely apart from the start. A really stupid move. Sports is good. Rinse is okay. I wish it allowed extra rinse, so anti-allergy is way too long, and it's a bit of a really stupid cycle. In a sense, it uses too much water on the main wash. Still, a bit. It fills up like halfway up a glass, I think. Like I said, whenever I was talking about the cycles, duvet, you can't even call that a duvet wash, truthfully. It's rubbish at rinsing. Shirts, with Fast Plus is, it uses a bit too much water, so it doesn't get that proper cleaning action. It isn't able to tumble because of the fact that it's got too much water. They're more so just sloshing about on top of the water. So our steam therapy is a cycle that most people aren't going to use. And you notice there's no delicate wash. It's advertised as half the time with twice the care, and there's no delicate wash. Although admittedly, Beko's delicate wash wasn't so delicate. So it doesn't really care for delicate clothes, so none of the cycles do slow tumbling, apart from hand wash, which practically just soaks the load and barely tumbles. all the other washes do fast wash action, really vigorous wash action, to be honest. So you don't really have an option for delicate clothes at all. Although I think for what I was doing as a substitutory delicate wash, I was using synthetics with Fast Plus, and I washed suits in it, the dry clean only suits, and they came out okay. So it does care for the clothes. It's just I don't think it's going to be great. You know, if you have really delicate clothes and you do delicate washes quite a lot, you'd probably be better off going for a lower end one, or maybe just not Beko at all. But I'll get on to that. Rinsing. Rinse results generally are good, aside from some of the cycles. Cottons though, the final rinse for half load's just way too short. It's only 1 minute long, with it only lasts 3 tumbles, and because of that, the clothes, well, it just really depends on the softener. Some softener, the clothes come out smelling of it, other ones that don't. Bedding never comes out smelling of softener on cottons. No matter how much bedding you put in, it's not going to come out smelling of softener, because of how light bedding is. It'll always detect it as a half load. So it will, unless it's like really thick fleecy bedding. But just your standard bedding, it will always detect it as half load. Home-wise, there's no comment on that. You can't really use it. But oh yeah, I didn't actually mention about drum clean. Drum clean is a really good cycle, so it is, but it's just it's a bit too long. But it's really, I find it handy, Beko's drum clean to be the best for a really, really filthy washing machine, because it uses a lot of water. To the point it fills up halfway up the glass on that, and it does really fast distribution washes and kicks all the water all around the tub. Whereas some drum cleans don't do that at all, and they don't really clean well. So I do typically really like Beko's drum clean, so I do. But yeah. Oh yeah, it's also really good that they've been able to fit a bigger drum into a slimmer depth. So it means that it won't stick out underneath the countertop, and even with the wider drum, I find that it works really well with it, so it does in my opinion. This one anyway, it doesn't really bang about, well, it's never banged about for me, so it's not. And even like whenever it comes to spins, it only really skips the spins on quick sometimes, but all the other cycles I've never had it skip a spin. I don't think. Maybe cottons on the first wash, but it practically never skips, which is really good. Fast Plus is a handy thing to have too, and I quite like that the load sensing happens more often on this cycle compared to the bottom end ones. So I do, but like cotton's full length, the load sensing is just too much variation, so it is. But Fast Plus is okay. I don't like how on cottons and synthetic, if you use fast ×2 on it, it gives really poor rinse results. With that, it deletes all the spins between the rinses, so you come out with soapy clothes pretty much. Although I suppose it's okay if you have extra rinse on, so it is. But generally the rinsing on that wash isn't good if you have it on fast ×2. So I think that's pretty much it, to be honest. Would I recommend this machine? Do I think I've wasted my money on this machine? I paid just under £500 for this. It's a really hard one. So it is. I'm gonna say maybe, but there's been other machines where I have wasted a lot more money on that I feel are worse than this. That's one. So it is. I'm sorry. I've been abusing the Bermuda. But I think that's just down to the fact that the Miele doesn't work with my water pressure, so it doesn't properly. Whereas this washing machine, if you have low water pressure or stuff like that, this washing machine will cope perfectly with it. It will take quite a bit longer than what it says at the start, because of the time being the minimum it'll take. But genuinely, it works fine with low water pressure. Even with taking in washing powder and softener and stuff, it always takes it in okay, whereas some machines with the water pressure washing powder gets stuck in the drawer. So it does genuinely, work okay with it. I don't think there's washing powder stuck in that one, maybe just a wee tiny bit. That's a wee old machine, that one. So it does work that way, you know, but I think this is probably the last Aquatech I'll, brand new one that I'll have, to be honest. I think as a whole, the older ones, like my cousin's one, were a bit better. So they were, but I think Aquatech is just Aquatech. It's too overcomplicated, to be honest. They've overcomplicated it too much and made too much more to go wrong with them, to be honest. It's just quite a shame, as Beko was always a reliable brand to me, but you'd be lucky if you get 4 years out of, or 4 or 5 years out of one of these, to be honest, just because of how overcomplicated it is. I think from what I've heard, the modules technically go on them, so they do. I think that's quite apparent with how much it inverter resets and stuff like that, and just like how glitchy it is at times. But I think if I was to give it a rating, I find my ratings really hard at times. I want to say between 4 and 6, so I think I'll go with 5. And I'm really picky about washing machines, so I am. So I think I'll give it a 5 out of 10. I think there is better washing machines on the market for the same price. I feel Beko's cheaper washing machines are better. So they are not the bottom of the line ones with 3 buttons and no time remaining. Those ones are absolute rubbish. Do not buy them. Do not buy them, or else you'll be stuck with 3-hour washes for absolutely everything, with no way to shorten them down at all. The likes of the Beko that I was going to get, but then I ended up getting my Hoover H-Wash 700. So like a Beko WTL or WTK, the ones that start with them, the models that start with them 3 digits at the start, I feel genuinely would be better. They are a bit deeper, so they are if you go for a bigger drum like this. But I think as a whole, they're just the design of them as a whole is better. I preferred the door seal on them, so I do. Well, another pro is that the drum light's really nice to have, so it is. I'll give it that. I forgot to mention about the drum light and stuff. It's really nice to have a drum light. Only these Aquatech ones have drum lights in them, but I feel like the likes of a drum light just doesn't really sell it. So I finished filming the review and I went ahead after doing that and I emptied the water from the drain pump so that the machine was completely drained out of water and good enough for me to transport to its new house. And I noticed a really bad con with the pump filter, so I did. And basically, whenever you empty the water out of the filter in the machine, it somehow manages, so whenever it pours out of that filter, it actually ends up pouring into the base of the machine rather than out of it and onto the floor or onto a towel or whatever you've put down to drain out the water. And because of the base of the machine being closed over, that water ends up being trapped inside that base. And what's going to happen? The base is going to rust. Yeah. Really, really bad design flaw there. Really bad. I've never ever seen that on a washing machine before, but there we are. So it traps all that water in the base, and it just about managed to leak out whenever we transported the machine out of my shed. It leaked out the back of it, so it did. It's a very, very foolish design flaw, so it is. And yeah, that's not good, especially with like the shock absorbers and stuff, especially for people who clean out their drain filters regularly. I have to be guilty and say it's very rare for me to do the drain filters. I typically only do them like 6 months or even yearly, because of the fact that with me doing hot washes, I find that the filters don't really get clogged. And we check our pockets and stuff, and whenever I take out the filter, it's typical that there's only like a single strand of fluff. But yeah, really, really not good. I was quite shocked at that whenever we put the machine on my wheels and then took it out of my shed just to find a trail of water pouring out of it. Really not good. But yeah, it's just got too much to go wrong. So it has a bit. I really liked this washing whenever I first had it, but once it started destroying my clothes and stuff, I just wasn't happy with it. And then I started to use the cycles more, and I realized how much of an inconvenience the cycles were on this. Whenever I got my Hoover H-Wash 700, I genuinely didn't realize that the programming on this was so inconvenient to the user. As much as it's really easy, to load up, put your detergent in and go. It's really simple in that way, but just the programming of it does let it down and make it an inconvenience to the user. And if you use like full length cottons, just the full length cycles in general, and then it just uses a bit too much water. So it does, although I'll give it's nowhere near as bad as the older Bekos and also the current basic Bekos. It is quite efficient with its water usage, but it's still a wee tiny bit too much. So it's just a wee tiny bit. But yeah, I'm sorry I've been dragging this on for absolutely ages. But I hope it was handy. Helped you. 3-hour review video, absolutely YouTube record. This is why I don't really do review videos. So I blab on and on and on about too many things. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and bye bye Beko.